Father Philip Harmon. I'm the pastor of the Chapel of Holy Sophia in Waianae. I'm a Ukrainian Greek Catholic priest. This Madonna was in a nunnery in Germany, and she was in their chapel. The order had dissipated until they retired most of the sisters, and so the chapel became vacant, and the statue was then transferred from Germany, Iselheim, to France and put up for auction. And I found out about the auction, and I immediately bid on it. We're talking about one being, the Holy Sophia, who has many aspects, but she is, in a sense, Mother Wisdom, and Mother Wisdom is the Black Madonna. The Black Madonna is the unfathomable mysteries of the cosmos, and therefore she's dark, because she's mysterious. She's a revelatory being, always revealing, giving more, but never ever giving all. It will be an ongoing revelation of the wonders of the cosmos. So she is the representative of the divine feminine being, in a sense. And the cosmos is a vast cosmos, which is mostly dark. But there is light. There is light in it. And the light emanates from her, which is then the Christ being. In the Byzantine tradition, there are many Black Madonna icons. We don't have statues per se, but we do have icons of her. In the West, there are statues. One of the foremost authorities on the Black Madonna in Europe and around the world is Alessandra Belloni, and she's with us today to give us some of her knowledge and experiences of the Black Madonna.
My name is Alessandra Belloni, and I'm from Rome, Italy, but I live in mainly New York. Happy to be in Hawaii with all of you. And I am a singer, percussionist, dancer, actress, author, teacher, all of these things I do. Mainly now I am recognized as an authority on the Black Madonna, because I published a book called Healing Journeys with the Black Madonna within her traditions, and has got the attention that I wanted to bring to the Black Madonna, why she's important today, and the life tradition from Italy. So I had a vision over my bed of a beautiful Black Madonna with her hands out, telling me that I had to follow her path, to feel other people's pain and the pain of the Earth Mother, which for me was completely new. I had no idea what that really meant, but that led me to the journey of doing the research and really understanding who she was, why she spoke to me, and that meant that I had to travel from place to place to place, to these places that I had seen, and to go back to write an opera dedicated to the Madonna. So that's what triggered my research. It was mainly from an artistic point of view, and then it became a spiritual path. So then there is a lot more that I can say, obviously. What I realized, the interesting thing was that the Catholic priests in every church would say, if I asked in Italian, ma perché la Madonna è nera? They would say, it's the candle smoke, why is she black? It's the candle smoke, or she's black because she's black. So that made it even more, intriguing, because I knew they were lying. So in this very interesting book, The Call to the Black Virgin by Inbag, lists all these Black Madonnas. So what I would really like to say first, it's very complex to explain who she is and what she represents. But the main thing is to understand, from a Catholic point of view, all Catholic countries all over the world have a patron Madonna, and she's black. She is not white. And I can list many of them. In Italy, it's La Madonna di Loreto, in Switzerland, Einsiedeln, in France, it's Chartres, in Spain, it's Montserrat, Czestochowa in Poland, and so forth, but also in South America. So she's all over the world. My main research has been in the south of Italy because I also felt that all these drumming rituals that are so strong, 4/4, 6/8 rhythm, are African. And of course the Black Madonna also represents the African mother where we come from. So we remember a common mother from the cradle of humanity, and it's Mamma Africa. So there are, in our tradition of the Mediterranean tradition, it's also of course part of Italy, is that she represents the cosmic mother, the darkness where we come from. And there is a myth of creation that says that a black meteorite fell from the stars and landed in Anatolia, Turkey. That black stone was worshipped as a mother. And then the myth goes on in our history that the Romans became devoted to that stone and they sculpted it into the goddess Cybele, the Magna Mater, the great mother of the earth, so a black goddess. And that statue was also brought to Rome. So actually Rome, where I was born, has a worship to the Black Madonna now. Where this temple of Cybele was, there is a church of the Black Madonna called Aracelli. Very interesting is for Cybele, people in the pre-Christian times played the drums. They played the frame drums and they sang and did very sensual dances. There are fertility rites, and they honor the Earth Mother by doing that, so asking for fertility. So the Black Madonna represents that, the cosmic mother where we come from, the Earth Mother where we also come from, and the darkness really represents the womb of the earth. And the darkest the soil, the most fertile it is, and that's one of the representation of many of the statues, especially in Italy, are in places where there are volcanoes, so the volcanic land and the Black Madonnas are completely connected. She also represents the dark side of the moon, and she was also worshipped in pre-Christian time as the black goddess Diana, Artemis of Ephesus, the moon goddess. So the main goddesses that the Black Madonna is connected to are Cybele, Artemis of Ephesus, and then Isis. The most important of all, Isis from Egypt, Africa, is the first Black Madonna and child. So you will see those statues where you see the Madonna, Isis holding a baby, Horus. The Black Madonna and the Christ are a direct continuation of that worship. And the church, the Christian church, couldn't stop the worship. It was so strong because people knew her from the beginning of humankind. So they made her Mary, Mother of Christ. And I firmly believe, from research I've done, that Mary, who was North African, so was Jesus, they were dark. They could not be the blonde, blue eyes icons that the Vatican made us look at, because it's impossible at that time. So there is historically, they say the Saint Luke, who knew Mary and Christ, was the first one to paint them, and he painted them brown. And those icons are very important because they're part of the Byzantine tradition, which is the first Christian church. It's very important to acknowledge the Black Madonna is alive. She's not something of the past. If you come to Italy with me, you will see that people are worshipping her, singing and drumming and chanting, asking for miracles. The miracles happen. So she represents healing from disease. Most Black Madonnas are super miraculous, and I've had that experience myself and other people I know, where healing from disease happens. In the Middle Ages, these Madonnas also healed people from the plague and protected the towns from the plague with drumming ceremonies and dancing ceremonies. Today, during the pandemic, I felt a strong call, even before the pandemic, to convey this message that the Black Madonna is the earth, and the earth is a living being, and she's really hurt. We're really destroying her really fast. In ancient times, they knew that, the Gaia theory. She was a living being. People did all these rituals, all these ceremonies, to be in peace with her, to be in harmony with her. We're never thinking of destroying her. So that womb of the Black Mother is the earth that we need to worship today. And I think we may still be on time to shift the consciousness. She represents the womb of the earth, of the women as well. So the womb of the earth has been hurt, women have been abused, completely connected. a lot of women who've been abused and traumatized go to ask for healing to the Black Madonna. And the other important thing, which is not to be forgotten, is she represents Africa, where we come from as well. And now, with all that's happening, with all the racism in the world, I felt a strong call to convey this to people who are also in the Black Lives Matter movement, because even African Americans and people of color are now aware that we have ancient sacred images that are black and that are worshipped also by white people. So I really think she brings a message of peace, unity, and healing for the earth and the womb of the earth. Medieval prayer to the Black Madonna from Montserrat, connected to Our Lady of the Poor, the Madonna dei Poveri from Calabria, a ritual to send away the fear of death by the plague. In my research in the south of Italy, then I found a very interesting legend, a myth, which is also esoteric. And the legend says that in the Neapolitan history, there were 7 Madonnas, there were 7 sisters. And the last one was believed to be the ugliest, so she ran away to hide on a very high mountain, a sacred mountain, so that the pilgrims that wanted to show their devotion had to search really hard to find her and climb all the way up barefoot. But when they found her, they saw that actually she was the most beautiful of the 7 sisters, and she was black. So they called her Mamma Schiavona, which means the nurturing mother, the serving mother, and she's also connected to the Song of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, because above her head, this giant painting, also Byzantine style, there is an inscription that says Nigra sum set formosa in Latin, which means I'm black and beautiful, also translated I'm black but comely. So the devotion to this Madonna actually is very ancient, because on where the church is now, there was a temple of the goddess Cybele, the goddess of the earth, also worshipped with the frame drums and tambourines. So in pre-Christian times, we know that priestesses honored her, and men that wanted to honor her and be initiated to become women. So they were known as Galli. They went through castration and they became women. The Galli were sacred, and just like women, they became priestesses and went through all this initiation. It is believed that the Roman poet Virgil was part of these priests. He was probably gay, and there's a lot of history in Naples about Virgil that most people, unless you study this, won't know about. But we know that in that temple, he had a sacred garden of healing herbs, and he was worshipped as a mago poeta, a magician, a shaman, poet, healer. And the Neapolitans still sing to him and pray to him as they pray to the Virgin Mother. And the Madonna of Montevergine means the Madonna of the Virgin Mountain. So Virgil was worshipped also as the sun god. And in Naples, they still chant to him a healing chant to invoke the sun. And I'll just demonstrate it very short. It's very important because in this tradition, we worship the sun as male energy and then the Black Madonna as female energy. And it uses the Lydian scale, also known as the Neapolitan scale, which has the power of calming the mind. And it's called Yesce Sole, come out, sun, blazing emperor. Yesce Sole, Yesce Sole, scagliente imperatore, scagliente imperatore, Yesce Sole, Yesce Sole, scagliente imperatore, scagliente imperatore. So this is a prayer to the sun connected to the poet Virgil, still practiced today in Naples and the region of Campania. And with that, I want to add that with this scale, again, the Lydian scale, the Lydian mode, people chant also to La Madonna di Montevergine, going up the mountain barefoot, and then after they chant, they go on their knees, they ask for miracles, and then they do the drumming ritual, the Tammoriata. And this is important because, as I said, the pre-Christian devotion was men that became women, the Galli. It's still popular today, this tradition never died. Men that become women in Naples are called femminielli, which means young women, and they're considered sacred. So they are transgender, and they dress like women, live like women, sing like women, and they celebrate a feast on February 2nd in honor of this Madonna, who is the patron of all gays and transgender. Ever since pre-Christian times, it has never, ever changed, and I feel that's very important for people to know today. I have brought people with me from New York that are transgender, and they all started a movement as devotion to Mamma Schiavona, and they're going there now on February 2nd to show their devotion. And there is a legend that says that two men that were in love were caught, loving or kissing in the mountain back in the 13th century, and they were punished by the people, and they were tortured and all that, and were left to die in the freezing cold because it's cold there in the winter. And the Madonna saved them. She appeared, came, and untied them and saved their life. So she's this definitely important in the movement for gay people today, still. So I want to show how that prayer goes. E salim su montagnone, e yamma truva mamma schiavona, e yamma truva mamma schiavo, che bella che tena Madonna, e me parono due stelle, e me parene due stelle illuminate, mamma mia sei incurunata, mamma mia sei incurunata, e con tutta sta compagnia state buone, Madonna mia, state buone, Madonna mia. In Tindari, in Sicily, not far from the town of Messina. If you go into the church now, the sanctuary, you see this huge statue that looks like the African totem, Nigra Sunset Formosa and Tindari, la Madonna del Tindari. Behind the altar in this particular church, they actually have frescoes representing the legend. It's the first one I've seen, and pretty much the only one, where they show you the temple of the ancient goddess existed before. So they never took that away. It's written there. Cybele was worshipped here. Demeter was worshipped here. They left it there. So you can study the history by looking at all the frescoes with the, there are inscriptions underneath. Then when you walk outside, the archaeological site is right next to it. So there is this incredible location on top of the mountains, and I want to say something about this is important. And then you walk to the archaeological sites, and there are the ruins of the temples of Demeter. Not Cybele, because Demeter became more important in Sicily. The beauty of this place is when you look up, you see these 3 sacred lakes of salt water. They continuously change shape, and there is a tongue of sand, right? And then and there's a beautiful sea, it's always calm. When you look from above, you will see there is always the shape of a woman in profile, praying or pregnant. And that's done by Mother Nature.
I want to thank Alessandra Belloni for her presentation. And I too have had an experience with the Black Madonna. And I don't receive apparitions, but I have a sort of an ability to hear an inner dialogue that's not my own thinking. It's a dialogue that I have no control over, but I can enter into it and ask questions and the like. And she came to me in 1978 and said that she was the Madonna of the Western Star, and she came with her angels of the Western Star. I didn't know what that meant at the time, but she was indicating there is a future for her, a future purpose. I had been studying for a long time Valentin Tomberg, who was a Roman Catholic mystic who passed away in 1970, and Robert Powell, his student, who has translated many of his works. One of the things that is very unusual in Christian Hermeticism is that we talk about the Christ's return, his sort of second coming, as many Christians talk about it, as a special event where he comes back at not a physical level, because he had done that once and for all. He had come as Jesus of Nazareth, and he was crucified, died, and buried, and he rose again. So we're talking about a resurrection body that will return. And the resurrection body is not a material body. It's physical in the sense that it has dimensionality to it, and it can take on an appearance, but it is not solid in the same sense as our physical bodies, where we're simply flesh and blood. And when Jesus returned to his apostles, he walked through walls, but at the same time, he could eat fish with them. So it's a kind of a body that we have no parameters of understanding. We have nothing in the world other than his resurrection body to look at. So it's sort of a mysterious reality. But according to this teaching, this understanding, there are levels of Christ's return that he returns periodically. And this etheric body of Christ, this resurrection body, expanded out into the cosmos, in which it took 900 of our physical years, of our temporal years, and then contracted back and returns to the earth, bringing the riches of the cosmos with him. So he re-enlivens the earth. And at this second coming, this time where he has already arrived and appeared, but people can see him who trust and believe in him and understand him and his purpose, but there are many who will not see him, who cannot see him. Since I first met her in the winter of 1978,
when we met her,
I had an inner experience of her talking to me. And this was at the altar when I was celebrating liturgy. I heard inwardly voices telling me that they were the angels of the Western Star celebrating the Virgin of the Western Star. And what is the Western Star? It's the star in the evening, it's Venus. So it has a direct relationship to the feminine, the divine feminine. And the whole point of my creating Kahumana grew out of this appreciation that the divine feminine and the feminine virtues were often missing in our society, in our social organizations, and the virtues of compassion, the virtues of justice, the virtue of simplicity, the virtue of maintaining a strong integrity. All of these very important virtues were to be played out, and this is an earthly manifestation to remind us that she is alive and real as a spiritual being, and that she lives beyond us and in us. And so in each and every one of us, we have a Sophia sitting on a throne, holding the divine child. That divine child is your higher self.